Hello, folks. Today, me and Sean will be discussing the masterpiece that is known as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, or Turtles in Time, like the video game, some people call it, I guess. Anyway, it's stupid. Uh, was it as bad as you thought it was going to be, Sean?
It didn't live up to the terrible hype. Um,
Okay.
it wasn't as bad. It was more and I don't think this is bitter, but it wasn't like atrocious. It was just so boring. Um, I wasn't invested at all. That's it. That's
Yeah, it's completely devoid of personality and substance and soul and
yeah. And yeah, it is more goofy and what have you. Like the things that happen, you kind of like, oh god, this is like one of those really cheap old Disney kid movies.
yeah. And so few movies make so many attempts at jokes that just land flat. A lot of jokes they say in the movie are actually outdated. Like I think one of them says "Hammer Time." And it's like
Yeah.
1993. MC Hammer was like bankrupt by then or something. There's one where like I've fallen and I can't get up, and that's an old '80s commercial about an old person who has fallen and they can't get up, so they have a medical alert bracelet or something. I don't know.
So they're referencing things that were already kind of outdated at the time.
Yeah, the guy who directed it also wrote it, and I don't know what's his name. Anyway, it's totally irrelevant because he sucks. Stuart Gillard.
Poor guy. Boom.
This is harsh criticism in this channel, man. I don't pull no punches.
Fair enough.
The worst thing about this movie is if you imagine Jim Henson's team doing the animatronics with the same movie, it would be slightly better. But the fact that the turtles look fucking awful is
They do
just
look a bit strange. They're like, I wouldn't say bright green, but they're much more green. Um, I don't know. Like when I think of Jim Henson, I think of the Dark Crystal. Um, and like how everything is really dark and everything's really kind of strange, and so that suits the turtles and it suits Splinter, but this new team or this new effects company that did it, I don't know.
it seems like the eyes look very creepy. Like there's no I man, you got to give them credit in the previous two movies because there was a personality behind those animatronic sculptures
Mm.
that you really kind of bought into, and then you realize how difficult that is to achieve in a movie like this where the technology is lacking and it's very
Well,
choppy
this
and mechanical and yeah.
this time it feels more like the costumes. Like I was watching them fight, and I felt like the costumes were made to be lighter
Yeah.
and maybe closer to the body. So they might have felt less clunky on the actors that were actually wearing the suits.
Yeah, it
But,
seems like
but
the heads
like
are lighter too.
when you look at the heads, that's it's I don't know, it's not as alive as you put it. It's lacking a certain something. The film is
I,
also lacking a certain plot. It's just it
and
becomes so magical, doesn't it?
yeah, it's just kiddie nonsense. That's what it's like they looked at the second movie and it's like we'll take everything that's wrong with the second movie and we'll amplify it, and then we'll take everything that was good about the second movie, like the improved animatronics, and we'll do the complete opposite of that.
We'll get rid of that.
Yeah,
Don't need that.
it was a matter of budget. I think Jim Henson's effects company was too expensive at the time, and they went with these other guys who actually apparently did. I forget their name, the company's name, but they did some good work on like Demolition Man and
Okay.
what other movies? I don't know. They had a good reputation, but when they took this on, remote control animatronic puppetry wasn't their forte, I guess.
Hmm.
And they did the best that they could, but it just doesn't come across. as believable at all. And Splinter looks really bad. He's
Well,
like,
it's like it's almost like if this had been the animatronics for the first one, maybe I wouldn't have noticed too much, and I would have kind of forgiven it. Like, oh, it's an underground movie, like an indie movie. They have these cheap animatronics, but then they build up, and then you're like, oh, well, now Jim Henson's doing the company's doing it, and so you're moving up. But this is really a step down, isn't it?
and this makes you realize how essential the design of the characters is, and
Yeah,
how the many different people it takes just to make one of them come to life, and how difficult that is to achieve. But
it shows you how strange it is to put like big spots on your turtles.
mm, and Casey Jones is back in this one.
Yeah, so Casey's back to do nothing.
Yeah, babysit.
He he babysits people lost in time. They kept the same April actor, um, so I've gotten used to her.
She's completely pointless. She's just a damsel in distress, like
But
just
she's useless throughout the entire movie. I like she's kind of built up to be like this kind of badass, I suppose. In the first one, like she's not a fighter, but she fights crime or she fights corrupt people in her own way with her job and the media and what have you.
she's a ballsy reporter in the first one,
Hmm.
and then they in the second and third one they just stripped her of all personality and
Yeah,
reason.
she's the girl.
She's the sidekick of the turtles, and that's it.
But in this one, it's even worse because she like they introduce another girl, but this one is like she's like the old school like badass, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't quite like any of the human characters either. Like in the feudal Japan, I didn't find any of those actors interesting. The
Not
guy who
really.
plays the main bad guy, the British dude,
Oh
Walker,
yeah,
yeah. Uh, he's a really good actor who
yeah, we
just in a
know
really
him.
bad
He's
movie. He's just
yeah, Wilson something Wilson. He was in some. He was in Zorro.
yeah. He was also the bad guy in Lethal Weapon 3. It's like the
Okay,
cop.
I haven't seen that.
He's the cop killer.
Oh
Um,
no.
but yeah,
Yeah,
it's like he's whenever his scenes whenever he's in a scene, it's like he's in a different movie. He's like, I'm trying to take this as seriously as possible, but I can only do so much.
he's trying to take it as seriously as possible, but in that final big fight, the turtles don't kill the bad guy, well, the other bad guy, like the emperor or whatever it is,
Lord, yeah, the
the
Lord, yeah.
lord. They don't kill him. Like they have the chance to like cut his head off or whatever. They only cut his hair, and then they lock him under the big bell,
Mm.
which looks like a Dalek.
At least we get to see Leonardo have an actual sword fight in a movie, as clunky as it was.
Yeah,
It's like, oh well.
I was expecting them to stay behind. Strangely, I was expecting them to stay there because you can see it. Like the moment they get there, you're like, okay, so these guys are gonna like it here. They don't have to
Mm,
hide because they can just pretend to be like kappas, like demons, and
mm.
run around. And there's fighting and what have you. And I don't know, I was like expecting them to almost like just stay there. And then you think about it, you're like, no, wait a minute, there's the other guys that need to come back.
Yeah, and
But
that.
they were having the time of their lives with Casey, the babysitter.
Mm. I like the emotional angles they were kind of going for with the Raph's relationship with the kid, and like how they really do love the place and they do want to stay, or at least what is it, Raph and Michelangelo want to stay there.
Mm.
But
That's
yeah,
probably the only truly kind of like that's the only thing that I was invested in, I suppose, throughout the entire
mm.
movie. Like the rest is really just things happening.
And then you imagine if the turtles just looked better like they did in the second movie, you could really sell that emotion. But man, no matter how many times I've watched this movie, like I don't know, 4 or 5 times in my life, maybe even more. I don't know. And every time I watch it, I'm just so distracted by this. They all look so weird, and it looks like you know what it looks like? It looks like if you were to go to an amusement park, and that's what the guys dressed up as the movie turtles would look like. It's like not quite right, but it looks cool enough anyway. But in a movie, it doesn't
Well,
work.
it's like you say, it doesn't work, but it's also because it follows up other movies that were good, and you got an improvement in the second one. Like they improved upon the original movie, and then now you're just going way back down, and it's
Uh,
so strange.
the TV show that comes after this, it's the same. They're different still. They're changed again, but
Oh
the
god.
animatronics are even worse.
Well, this is TV budget. I mean, at least they have the excuse of being TV budget.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like why make them look so ugly?
I don't know. I don't understand like the politics of it all and how it works. Because like once you have the costumes, can't you just reuse them? This isn't 15 years later, right? They're making the movie 2 years later. Can't they still use it?
Yeah, that well, technically, all those costumes and stuff from the first and second movie, I guess, are property of. I mean, property of the Jim Henson. What's it called? Creature Shop,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of mechanical devices that go along with that that I don't suppose the people who make the movie own. They just rent out those services.
So you
So
like you're renting the rights to use these costumes that the creature shop makes. Is that it? Is that how it works?
yeah, I think the new guys who took over for this movie could have made them look very much like the old Turtles. I just don't think they had the expertise to do that. I think they tried. I think look at Raph. They're trying to make him look like the old Raph, and Michelangelo, kind of, if you like squint, you can kind of if you like blur your vision enough, or like
Are they allowed though? Are they allowed to make
that's what
them?
I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Hmm. Hmm.
Because I was asking about I was asking about the way we modify faces now. We can de-age people or age people or do plenty of things with makeup and visual effects. And I was thinking, what if you cast someone that can pretty like do a pretty good impression of whatever older actor, whatever actor when they were younger, and then like visually change their face or use prosthetics to make them look like the other actor. But apparently, you're not allowed to do that. There have been
No.
cases of this where it's like a violation of the original actor's rights. Um, and so I'm
Do you,
wondering if this is kind of the same thing, right?
they're rebooting this franchise yet again. Uh,
So the two recent ones have failed.
the second one didn't do enough.
Okay.
And critically, it was just like it was panned by a lot. There was it was too. They went the route of Secret of Views. They went full goofy, full. I mean, some of the special effects are amazing in the second one, just like the first one. But it's a mishmash of like, oh, that looks real. Oh, now it doesn't. Okay, now it looks real. Depending on how the CG model
So
is written.
they're fully CG,
CG.
I suppose. Yeah.
And this is what I want to happen. I don't need necessarily. A lot of people are calling for. Well, at first there was talk of a Netflix live action series.
Oh
That
God.
I haven't heard about that for a while, but uh, they're definitely gonna go the route of the original movie if they ever go back to it,
Okay.
because it has such a legacy now, and we've already done the reboot, been down the reboot road several times. The cartoon's been remade countless times. Do what they did back in the day and have people in suits, but instead of animatronic heads, do CG heads. That would
Hmm.
force the animators to really match it up, right? Like Jar Jar from the prequels. George
Hmm.
Lucas's plan was supposed to be dude is in the suit and the head is replaced afterwards. And they just said, we might as well just do it all CG. And Lucas was like, oh, well, okay, yeah. And that's the way they went. But it would have been interesting. The actual, there was a behind the scenes thing where they showed the Jar Jar with the real body and the CG head, and it actually looked a bit better. But it was
Okay.
more difficult to do because They
You
had
gotta
to
match
match.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah, every single frame, you gotta line up the bloody head on the body.
but there's ways to do it now where you don't have to go through such a.
I would imagine it's easier. But I mean, Jar Jar's a
Painstaking.
character that's jumping around and everything. These guys are the same thing, right? These guys are like they're doing stunts and whatever. I would like it to be R-rated. I think there exists enough properties in this world, enough franchises in this world for kids or for younger audiences that we don't necessarily need everything to be for that. I think
I think
we
heavy,
have room to make an R-rated Ninja Turtles
but
franchise.
the toy aspect is always gonna make that
Oh yeah.
very difficult for them. But they did go the PG-13 route. Well, in the United States and Canada, it was like soft PG. But the United States, the M what is it, motion MPP MPAA, yeah,
Oh, the
they
association of those that rate things.
yeah they're really strict. And anyway, I think the first one is PG-13. But
Well,
you
they're
can
very
you
strict. It depends on what, because
but look
from
at
what
the
I
first one.
remember, Ready Player One was PG.
Yeah, but look at the and there are some movies that can do a PG and still be mature and not
But I mean,
childish kind of.
Ready Player One has that scene from The Shining in it with the blood and
Oh,
everything.
oh yeah, yeah.
That still
The,
made it PG.
you look at The Shining now, and you edit that just a little bit, and it's basically a PG movie because it's all atmosphere. You know what I mean? It's not. There's
Oh,
not.
okay.
There's not a hell of a lot of like the nudity in the bathtub scene was cut out in Ready Player One. But
Hmm.
even that now is like considered like, oh wow, a naked woman and then a naked old woman who's it's none of it's sexual. You know what I mean? So people don't
Yeah.
look at
Okay.
it as bad now.
Offensive. Yeah.
But you can do a serious Turtles movie. But wouldn't it be great and wouldn't it please all the fans if you made them look like the '90s versions, like the Raph looks like Raph from the '90s. Set it in the year 1992 or something. Have it be one of those things where it's an unofficial sequel to Ooze.
I would. I would like it set in the 90s. That would be cool. I think that they're very much at home in the 90s, and you could do like all of those jokes. Like you could do a crappy, corny 90s reference that even if it's shit, it would still work better nowadays. Just because it's like it's a callback, right? It's like all this
Yeah.
nostalgia. I think
What
that'd
did
be
you?
pretty cool.
Yeah, that would. It'll be interesting to see where they go next because this is going to be another like re redo, and who knows when it's coming out. I mean, they've been talking about it for a couple of years, but
Hmm. You don't like the design of the new movies that came out, like the CG models? Are they not good? Or
um, they're too big. I mean, the turtles are always usually. That's why the actors who played them in all the movies were usually dudes who were like 5'4", 5'5", something like that, because they were always like around April's height. And here they're
okay.
giants, and the whole thing about being small enough to go down the maneuver in certain places, it just they're too big to go down the fit in the sewer drain, for God's sake. It doesn't
Hmm.
really almost, it's like, yeah, I don't buy some of this. And you watch those newer movies, and like the sewers are huge. Like it's like an amusement park ride. It's really kind of silly, especially in the second one.
I'll have to see. I'm intrigued. There's that animated movie. Do I have to watch that one as well? Is that worth it?
Yeah, some people really like that one for some reason. I find it's
Okay.
like there's a lot of different monsters in it, and
All
it's like
right.
very over the top in that way. But there's some serious drama, and the
Okay.
interesting thing is it starts off where they're all separated, and is it plays like a sequel to number three. You can kind of view it as that
Okay. I'm intrigued.
because
I'll watch that one.
it's a couple of years later. They're a little bit older, and they're all separated. They're all doing their own thing.
Mm. All right.
But it's 2007, animation on a low budget, so you got to take that into account.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Even though there's a really cool fight scene in the rain that looks pretty good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so this movie. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
another thing, the riding on the horses. You know why they have those masks on? They have those masks on for a very specific reason.
All right.
Because when the stunt people are on the horses, they can't animate the faces. So it would have been like very jarring just to see like static looking faces on horses.
Okay.
And the fight scenes are stupid. Like the sword plays like what you do in your backyard as a kid, like
Yeah.
slash this way, slash
That's
that way.
that was I was watching the mounted sword fight scene, right? You're watching it, and they've got all of these ching, clang, cling sounds, and you're like, but they're not
Jump
doing
cuts.
anything.
Yeah.
This is like if I were to go outside and fight you with we were to fight with a bunch of swords and film it, that would be it, right?
Yeah.
That's what it would look like. There was no choreography or skill at all.
It's like that this he got the stunt people dressed up on the horses with no planning and he goes, just pretend to fight. And they're like, okay. He's like, action. Cut. DP comes over. He's like, yeah, we're gonna need a few more takes. We're gonna need to plan something there. No, no, we got it. We got it. Let's move
It's
on.
fine. We have it. But it's a shame because it's the movie that takes place in feudal Japan. This should have the best fight scenes of the three.
Yeah.
This should have the most artistic vibe to it as well,
Mm.
but it has nothing. At least
Yeah.
they aren't saved by Splinter.
Well, Splinter can't move. He's only like half a robot. And his voice is bad too. Like the new voice of Splinter is really quite not good. I'm just bashing this movie. Bash, bash, bash.
Well, yeah.
What are some good things, I wonder?
What are
No, I
some
can't
good
think of any.
things? Well, there's no good thing. It's like there were good ideas behind some of it.
Yeah,
I don't like time travel in general, but this isn't like a movie franchise that you take too seriously. Like
yeah.
yeah, without even talking about the fact that they took it down the jokes route. Like it's not the most serious thing. So I'm okay with the time travel, I guess. Um,
This has one of the worst visual,
the
like
splash.
the splash, the
Oh my
non-splash.
god. Oh my god. I hit that rewind for 10 seconds button that they got on Netflix. I hit that because I was like, did they seriously do that? He just disappears.
Yeah,
I
still
think they
not as bad.
shrink him.
It's not as bad as the Joker fall and no, well, the Joker fall and Batman might have been a little bit better. But there's a RoboCop. The dude falls out the window with the long arms. It's like a puppet, and with really abnormally long arms. You know what the best fall in a movie is of like villain falls of all time?
Die Hard.
Oh, you how'd you know that? Of
Well,
course,
I know that it wasn't planned. Was that isn't that the story?
the story is that Alan Rickman wasn't told when it was going to happen, and they kind of surprised him. So
So they got his real
the look of
reaction.
surprise on his face is real.
Mm, yeah, I'd heard that. But I mean, this was just horrible though. I had to play it again. I was like, did they seriously just do that? He just like I think they shrink him real quick, and then they add a splashing sound, but there's no splash. There's nothing. He just
And then
oh my god.
and then the Nightmare Turtles with their weird faces are like, "Whoa!" They joke around. They say some stupid crap. They only say stupid shit throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, that yeah, they only it's just even oh what's his name? The smart one is it? Um
Even the smart one's an idiot. He's like, "What would
yeah.
I do without microchips?" I'm like, "Oh God, who wrote this shit?" Oh yeah, the director,
what's his what's his name again? That smart one. Uh,
Donatello.
Donatello. Yeah. God, he's just like even the smart things that he says that are supposed to be smart make no sense. He's talking about like in the very beginning when he's trying to figure out like the displacement or whatever, like the words that he's saying, it's just gibberish. Like it's not even techno babble. It's just absolute nonsense that makes no sense. And then he starts talking about his, uh, it's like a temporal displacement or what does he say? Like an equal
Yeah,
mass displacement or something. And
yeah.
then
Like
none of
you
the
have to
others
be the same
understand.
mass as the people you're transporting. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
convoluted and stupid.
the way he says it, he says like equal mass displacement. It's like equal mass displacement is a very simple thing to understand.
Yeah,
None of the other turtles understand it. And then the guy next to him is like, "Oh, you have to be the same weight." And he's like, "Yeah, dude, you know what's up."
yeah,
Okay. And then they do the temporal mass displacement, and they're clearly not the same bloody weight as the four skinny dudes that pop out.
yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like, what? These four dudes were holding the scepter at the same time. I don't understand like how the magic works.
they don't expect you to think about this at all. It's like just go with it.
Just scoot run with it.
But
Just
eh, you know, when you transport, you end up in the person's clothing, right?
yeah,
April ends up in dude's clothing,
yeah,
but she still has her Walkman for
yeah. I
like
don't understand the Walkman.
a joke that's there or a plot device to make them think
I
she's a
thought they
witch.
were gonna keep the Walkman throughout the entire movie as like some sort of device or some sort of like running gag or like something that had I don't know. I thought they were gonna keep it, but they didn't. They destroy it immediately, and then yeah, there's like one joke. Oh, you destroyed my. It's like come on.
Yeah, it's
But
like
then like the rules that apply to the April displacement don't apply to the turtles displacement because the other guys pop out. They're clearly not wearing the same clothes as the turtles are wearing. They didn't, you know,
it doesn't make
they should.
sense in the end. In the end, when Michelangelo shows up a little bit later to create some false sense of suspense, it's
I
like
didn't get that? I didn't understand. I was like, okay, did are they like is it reopening or something? Is the portal reopening? And did you notice that he the Japanese guy, the last one to leave,
yeah,
he goes up the ladder, and it's very dark up there. And then there's the displacement, and then there's um, what's he? Oh damn it! What's the one that
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo comes down, and then all of like when he appears, all of a sudden it's everything is bright upstairs, and I didn't understand why there was all of a sudden like so much light. And I originally thought it was because of the displacement, but then the light just stays, and he comes down, and then it's like the light is still there.
Yeah, they just forgot to turn it off.
Yeah,
And the DP came up to the director and he's like, "Hey man, we left that light on when it was supposed to not be on in that
but
last
it's in the
shot there."
bag. We've got it.
He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're done, buddy. We're done with this movie. That's a wrap on Ninja Turtles 3.
Yeah,
I'm off to direct shitty Disney movies. What is it? I don't know what he directed. Let me look it up. He directed some like
but
Disney Channel shit.
we didn't have the we didn't have a dance musical number with a with an outdated artist.
Yeah.
That's missing in the movie.
What'd you think of Casey being back in time at the same time, like as one of his ancestors, I guess? And his accent sucked, man. The dude, like that actor Elias uh,
Yeah,
Koteas.
yeah.
Yeah, he's usually pretty good, but man, he can't do an accent, a British accent for shit. He
What was
and
that guy called?
they make him like they make him one of these characters that doesn't say a lot because I don't think they. Oh, that's pretty cool. Stuart Gillard, the guy who directed this
Mm-hmm,
movie,
mm-hmm.
he was in a Newfoundland movie called The Rowdy Man.
Okay,
He played a Newfoundland constable. That's interesting. Not really.
close to home.
Anyway, Gillard directed Border Town, The Outer Limits, Charmed, One Tree Hill, 90210, Girl versus Monster, Twitches, So yeah, he's kind of had like a mediocre kind of career. He's Canadian though. He's from Alberta.
So he directs some TV show episodes, right?
Yeah.
He's a working man. He's a working director.
Um. Yeah. I think he might. He's still active. He's an actor, film director, television producer.
He's a man in the industry. He's a man that when he gets a contract, he just goes for it. Um, they were like, "We need you to direct this um, Turtles movie." He's like, "All right." And then before shooting starts, they're like, "But we don't have a script yet." He's like, "Whatever, I'll bring my own.
He's like,
I have
Stuart,
it."
we got a movie for you. It's Ninja Turtles. We're gonna give you $30 million to direct it. It's gonna be the most expensive Ninja Turtles movie ever made. He's like, I'll do it for 20, and I'll make it seem like it cost five.
Sold. You got it. Bring your own script.
I'm gonna be in the pitches anyway.
I'm gonna be... Oh my god. It was I don't know. It's there's long moments of so much happening and yet there's nothing happening.
It's a soulless film. I maintain that it's not technically on the list. I don't think of one of the worst movies ever made, but it is up there with movies like Garbage Pail Kids and Freddy Got Fingered and fucking I've never seen that one. Highlander 2, The Quickening. Uh,
Well, I rate all of the movies that I watch. I rate them based on like a rating scale that makes no sense to anyone else. It's just mine. And so every movie gets like an out of 100. And this is down there with my worst movies.
have you ever seen Superman 4, The Quest for Peace?
No.
Oh my god. Have you ever seen Superman or Superman 2 or 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so you
I
saw
think
3.
okay, so this wait a minute. Let me see which one it is.
3 is with
I
Richard Pryor.
yes, okay, so I think I've seen 1, 2, and 3.
Well,
And then
the
and
fourth
then
one
and then
is
I saw the and then the DCEU ones. What well, one because the other one's a
yeah,
Batman movie.
Superman 4 is another example of when somebody else with uh, lesser intentions takes over a franchise and tries to continue it, and then it's like this is a completely different product. This is not the same thing. Superman 4 is considered in the I'm not joking, in the top 5 I'd say of most notable bad movies, worst movies ever made.
Oh, really?
It
Oh
is
goodness.
it is one of these movies that's a delight to watch just to see how crappy it is.
Yeah, I've seen. Oh, yeah, okay, and I've seen Superman Returns because Superman Returns in there.
That's a sad movie.
Well, that's with
Brandon
what's his
Routh.
face? Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, he played Superman again in that crossover.
Yeah, apparently they did something like they pulled a Superman Returns on him in Legends now. They canceled his contract,
Oh,
and he'll no longer like they. Poor guy, he just keeps on getting ripped. It would seem that you get ripped off if you play Superman at some point in your life.
I don't know if they'll ever get Superman right. I don't know if they'll ever get like Ninja Turtles as good as the first one, because every other attempt has been like, yeah, okay, they're bad, yeah.
It's a movie that has a lot of soul. That first one, it has a lot of heart. I wouldn't necessarily call it like a good movie,
I would,
um, but
I would,
for what it is, it's worth it, right?
I would say the 2014 one that you haven't seen yet. I don't think. No, you haven't. Uh,
Mm.
that's the second best one of them all. I think, in my opinion.
Well, because it's a remake of that original one, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then they
in
remade
some
this,
ways.
and then they remade the ooze. You're saying for the second. of that. So that was a catastrophe. It's a good thing they're rebooting because then you would have gotten the modern day remake of the third one.
The time travel one. Oh god. But instead of feudal Japan, it's 1980s New York.
Oh yeah,
Double dumbass on you.
double dumbass on you. Uh,
All right. So yeah, we've said it just about as much as we can say about this thing.
there's not much to say about it. I
No,
mean,
no.
they shoot a cannon at like a there's like the bad guy fires a cannon at the turtles, but what he did, like one of the
Oh yeah,
turtles puts his head in, and he dodges the
and he goes miss.
what
He
what
goes miss. He hits the bell.
yeah, he hits the bell, so the bell breaks, and then the other guy comes out with his he looks like Robin Williams in Flubber, with his hair all spiked up like it's been exploded.
That's actually
Um,
the one funny part of the entire movie that I actually laugh at. That I think is an actual funny joke. Is when the dude comes out, the Lord, he
with his
comes out
hair
with his
looking
hair sticking up. He's like, "Look, Don King," and
is
that's an old reference that a lot of people now won't get. But if you knew who Don King was, he was a boxing promoter, and his hair was always like straight up.
but is that is that a nervous laugh, or do you find it genuinely funny?
No, 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 I like it. It's the only decent joke in the movie.
Okay.
Everything else is a reference to a 90s or 80s commercial, or you know what I mean. It's like as lame as you can get. It's like an old man wrote this movie, and that's exactly what happened. It was like an old dude who was out of touch with the product that he was, writing for.
Well, that's how I feel
It's
watching Ready
lame,
Player One.
lame, lame. That's the word I'm looking for. Lame. There you
Lame.
go.
Ninja
So
Turtles
no,
3. Lame in time.
no out of 10 for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Big no. Big no. The only thing you'll get out of it is maybe a laugh and a chuckle and a discussion with a friend. But it's not even funny bad, right? When you're watching it,
Yeah, it
it's just
really
kind
does.
of.
It really does try my patience. When I watched it this time, I was like, why is life? Why? What am I doing with my life? But yeah,
Oh
it's fun. It's
goodness.
I was gonna watch them all anyway because when I knew Netflix was gonna have the three, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna binge these all in one day. And I was like, you know what? The first one's really good. And then I started watching the second. I watched the second one the same day. Then when I started 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes into the third one, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for that one because it's a different. It's like almost like a reboot. It's like a soft reboot. It doesn't match up. It doesn't match
Yeah,
up.
it feels way out of place.
Yeah.
Watching these three movies has kind of reminded me that there was this bygone era where every movie was conceptualized as one movie, and then like out of the blue they would pump out a sequel and then another sequel, and it would be a curve that would just go down.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays it's a bit different. Like when you conceptualize a movie, you're thinking more of like you're creating a universe that can be explored, and so sometimes you find yourself having like the fifth movie is the best out of this entire franchise, or the third is the best. There's ups and downs.
Yeah.
Before it wasn't like that. It was like the first is the best, and then the second and the third it just goes down and down and down.
Yeah, and you know what they did a lot in back in the day when they used to rush it, like a movie would be a success, like say Problem Child. Like, okay, we got to get another one out real quick, and they don't have time to think of really good ideas that made the first one so successful. So what they do is they kind of just let's repeat everything that the audience responded to in the first one,
But
and
bigger.
not really have as much of a structure around it as we. But anyway, that's the way. That's the way.
Honey, I blew up the kid.
Oh, you didn't like that movie?
No, no. I rewatched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And I was
You
like,
know, there's a third one,
that's
right?
pretty fun. Yeah, that was garbage as well.
Yeah,
I watched all three, and I was like, the first one, I was actually genuinely surprised. I was expecting garbage, and then I came out the first one. I was like, I'm surprised. I had a good time. This is actually pretty fun, and it's pretty well designed and what have you. And the second one is just like, oh my god. And the third one, you know, it
Did you
exists.
hear that Disney Plus is trying to make a
Yeah,
sequel with Rick Moranis?
yeah. Shrunk.
Yeah,
I read all about that. They're trying to. It's not even a reboot. I think it is. It's like a fourth, isn't it?
yeah, it's like a series continuation.
I think
Unless it's
we're
they're
supposed to be
unless it's going
getting
to be a movie.
we're supposed to be getting a fourth Beverly Hills Cop as well.
Yeah, that got delayed due to everything, but yeah, that's going to be on Netflix.
Mm.
Netflix picked that one up. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll leave it there, and I want to thank you for joining me, Sean, in this discussion. Uh, this very intellectual, deep, philosophical discussion about
Ninja
movies
Turtles
about
3.
Ninja Turtles 3.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for helping me discover and learn about these Ninja Turtles.
Well,
I have now seen the original trilogy.
well, that's good because I felt sorry. I was like, oh, what did I set this guy up for? And
It's okay. You warned me early on that the third one wasn't worth it. So, but these are movies, and this is a franchise. Or like this is a property that I've been wanting to watch and to understand for quite a while. It's just like this gave me the occasion to do it. I might
yeah,
even rewatch the first one one day. Probably not
yeah, I
the
like.
others.
Yeah, the first one's still the best. All right. Well, thank you, folks, and have a great day.